Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Igor Bech and I am Head of Education at Innovecs. I'll be moderating today's webinar with the great company of amazing experts from Luna Labs, Supersonic and Innovecs. But before we start, let me tell you a bit about a few organization moments and today's schedule. First of all, after every talk, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask speakers any questions related to the topic. So to ask a question, type in YouTube chat and I will read out loud during the Q&A session. A few words about Innovecs. Innovecs is a global software development company. We create digital solutions powered by innovative technologies and incorporate emerging trends to help businesses transform and grow. We use modern and powerful technologies, and Luna Playable is one of them. Please meet Niall Jones, Head of Platform at Luna Labs. Let's welcome Niall.
Thanks for the introduction, Igor. Appreciate it. I'm Niall. I'm the Head of Platform here at Luna Labs. I've got some slides to go through. We can talk a little bit about the company, but I'll start off with a bit more of an introduction from myself. So as Head of Platform at Luna, I've been working with some of our smaller and medium-sized developers to help us scale our technology, Luna Playable and Luna Replay, to game studios and developers of all sizes. We do this with great education, great docs, a best-in-class platform, and giving you guys all of the tools that you need to be successful with our technology. So what I'd like to do today is just talk you through Luna Labs, introduce you to the company, tell you a little bit about where we come from, what we're doing now, our aspirations for the future, and how we plan on helping you guys get the most out of your creatives. So let's talk a little bit about Luna. So we're a creative technology company, and our focus for the last 12 months has been very much playable and video ad creation. So we've been giving you the tools for the best part of 2 years now to create playable creatives in-house. And recently this year, we introduced Luna Replay, which is a revolutionary tool that allows you to create video ads very, very easily, more efficiently than ever before in Unity in-house. We were founded in October 2018, so just over 2 years ago now. And in that time, we've grown to a team of 37 Lunarians, which is a fun bit of Final Fantasy IV lore there. We flirted with the name Lunatics as well, but we landed on Lunarians in the end. We are headquartered in London. We have offices in Belarus, Israel, Netherlands, and more recently, the United States, with plans to sort of expand more east very, very soon in the future. So I think it's important to talk a little bit about our mission as a company, because I think it underpins every product we release, every feature that we write, every bug that we fix, and every engagement that we have with studios. And that mission is to unlock creativity in game studios, small all the way to the largest game studios in the world. And the way that we do that is we give game studios and developers the tools to build amazing creatives in-house with the skills that they already have. So I'm going to talk a lot about Luna Playable today, and Mike and Karen are also going to talk about how they use Luna Playable and how you can use Luna Playable. And I'm also going to touch on Replay as well. But the idea behind Luna is that you create the creatives yourself, and then anyone within your team, be it a developer, a UA manager, everyone in between can collaborate. They can edit those playables, those videos, they can optimize them and manage them all in one super easy to use place. So let me just give you a little overview of the two products that Luna have built so far. The focus today is very much going to be on Playable, which is the technology that allows you to build playables in-house. But before we talk about Playable, I'll just give you a very brief introduction into Luna Replay, which is a really exciting product that we launched this year. So Luna Replay allows you to record a gameplay session once and then create an unlimited amount of videos from that gameplay session. So you have your game, you implement our SDK in Unity, you tag all of your variables in game, characters, background colors, text, you name it, you can tag it and then enable that for editing later. You record your gameplay session on a phone, on a computer, in the Unity editor, send that up to our platform. And then from there, anybody in your team can create an unlimited number of videos from that one gameplay session and upload them directly to any of the major ad networks. So it's really cool. And it's a technology that hasn't really been seen before. And we're really excited to bring it to the market. And hopefully we can do another webinar just like this one where we can talk to you in more detail about Replay. But today, the star of the show is very much Luna Playable. So Luna Playable was a very novel technology when it was introduced. And I suppose fundamentally what it allows you to do is create really high performance, lightweight HTML5 playables right inside of the Unity editor, using the skills that you already have as Unity developers, using the assets that you've already created, that your artists have already put together for your game, and in some cases, even reusing large parts of your game's code. By using the Unity toolset and workflow, you can work a lot faster to create playables and then upload them directly to Playground, which is our web-based platform where you can manage and optimize those playables. And I'll talk in a little bit more detail later on about the power of Luna Playground and how that fits in with Playable and some of the features that you have around managing and optimizing the creatives, not just creating them. So let's take a bit of a deeper dive into Luna Playable. So as I've alluded to, it's a creation workflow. It starts with our Unity plugin. The Unity plugin is an easy to implement plugin that you can download from our website upon signing up for a free trial or signing up for one of our plans with Luna Playable. Implements directly into Unity. It's very easy to use. And this tool will allow you to take an existing scene within Unity. It could be a scene within your game that already exists or a scene that you're building from scratch, and then convert that into lightweight, performant HTML5 that runs in your browser. So the idea with Luna Playable isn't to disrupt your workflow, it's to augment it. It's to make it more efficient. So we're using the skills that you already have in-house, right? You don't have to go out and hire an HTML5 developer. You don't have to go and find a company that's willing to build a playable for you and pay them to do that. You can use your Unity developers that you already have in-house to build playables for you right inside of Unity. And that actually comes with some interesting side benefits as well, like using the assets that you've already developed, using the animations that you've built within Unity, and using really powerful Unity features within your playables. Not only is this just a way to save time and be more efficient, it's tapping into the power and the sort of performance that comes with Unity and the Unity engine. But it doesn't just stop there at creation. We really care about managing and optimizing your creatives as well. I mean, it's a crucial part of that campaign lifecycle. So what we enable you to do is take the playables that you've built in our technology in the plugin, upload them to something that we call Luna Playground, which is our web-based platform. And in there, you can actually have any member of the team edit any part of the playable in the web. So we're reducing that reliance on the developer. If you need to edit a part of your playable, if you need to change a character, change the background color, maybe there's a bit of text that needs to change. Historically, you would need to go to a developer, maybe even an outside consultant, and say, hey, we need this part of our playable changed. What we're allowing you to do is have anyone in your team do that right inside of a super easy to use web UI that we call Playground. So a really cool feature that we built this year that fits in alongside these things is Playable AI and Playable AI Plus. What this is in essence is a way to create self-optimizing playables, which again is a pretty novel concept. The way it works is you create your playable using Luna Playable. You upload it to Playground where your whole team can edit, create unlimited variations, upload it to networks, export it. But you can also create what we call self-optimizing playable. And that will launch your playable to a network. So you just export one build, you upload it to a network. We will automatically then in the back end in real time change aspects of your playable without human intervention. So we can change the character, we can change the background color, the text, the number of enemies, the number of levels. And we do this automatically. You set the parameters, you tell us what you want to change, and then we do that in real time automatically. And by listening to the events that come back to us from those user interactions of your playable, how many users are clicking this variation? How many folks are installing the app after seeing this variation with this different character? We can sort of learn a lot about which playable works best, which variations are better than others, and what's the key to a really performant campaign. And that playable will optimize itself in real time. So it'll start to learn this character works a lot better than this one. Let's use this going forward. And it doesn't just stop there. Like when you arrive at this campaign that performs really, really well, you can derive a lot of insights from that. You can say, okay, well, now we know when we build our next playable, we should be using character A instead of character B. The background color red works a lot better than blue. And this install CTA works really, really well. So not only is it a way to squeeze performance out of your existing campaigns, it's to help you learn and build better campaigns for the future. And finally, what we enable you to do via Luna Insights, which is our in-house analytics product, is understand how your creatives are performing in real time whenever you want to see how they're performing. So we have a really awesome UI that we present within Luna Playground called Insights. It gives you really rich analytics that give you a picture at any given time, how your ad is performing, which variants within your playable are performing better than others, how that campaign sort of maps out over time, the user interactions with that playable. You can get a really deep understanding of how people are interacting with your ads and how they relate to real world outcomes in terms of installs and clicks. So we've put together a short video that explains, hopefully in better than I can sort of articulate how a product works. And it gives you sort of an insight into Luna Playable and what you can get out of it. So I'll just go ahead and play that for you now. Yeah, love that video. Hopefully that gave you a good idea of what it is that Luna Playable is capable of and the sort of value that you can derive from it. I think it's a really nice little explainer video. So I think it's probably worth talking a little bit about what Luna's priorities are in 2021. I like briefly touching on this just because it gives you a little flavor of what's in store for next year and you know, something to get excited about. And also, I think it's important that we share with you what we feel is important for the product and how we plan on taking it further. So we sort of split our responsibilities as a platform into 3 categories or 3 sections of the workflow. We start with create, we move on to manage, and then we end up with optimize. So create or creation really pertains to everything around the creation of the playable or the video. I'll focus mainly on playables for the purposes of this session. So creation is the plugin. It's the engine. It's the technology that underpins the playable at runtime. And there are a couple of things that are relevant to that creation stage. The first thing is developer experience, which is something that we take very seriously here at Luna. And creative experience relates to the way in which you use our product as a developer. It's how easy it is to use. It's how easy it is to get started with it, the documentation education that's available to you in order for you to be self-reliant and self-sufficient. So developer experience has been a real focus for us, definitely in the last 6 months. We've shipped a number of features in the plugin that have really been a step change in how developers use the plugin. It's made the process of making a playable using Luna Playable a lot easier. We are now shipping best-in-class diagnosis and debug tools with our plugin. And we're making it easier to identify on our side when you're having issues and then be proactive about it as well. We're definitely extending this into 2021. Developer experience will always be a key focus for us. We're always striving to make the tools a lot easier to use, working with the developer, not against the developer. And we hope to ship some really, really cool debug tools and things that make it just a lot easier to get the most out of the plugin next year. The other thing is engine and API support. So we're constantly listening to the community and listening to our customers, around what features that they want to bring to the engine, what things in Unity that they want to use in the web, in the browser. And we're also keeping our ear to the ground when it comes to the recent developments in WebGL, the latest and greatest APIs, and making sure that we support all of those things. So the creatives don't just look good, but they behave really well. They perform really nicely across a range of devices, all the way from Android devices that were made in 2008 to the latest and greatest iPhone 15 Pro X. So that's super, super important to us. But moving on from creation, we're also hyper focused on how you manage and then optimize those creatives after you've built them. So Playable AI was a recent innovation in this space, allowing you to optimize your playables automatically without really having to touch a button. We take care of that. We do all the heavy lifting and make sure that your creatives and your campaigns perform really well. In the future, we're doing a lot of work to make sure that we can ingest things like install data and custom events and ingest that data to be able to make better decisions around what does a good performing creative look like. So we really want to give you guys a lot of control, and we want you to be able to tell us and provide the data to us that says, this is how my performance is, this is how my creative is performing, and this is how it works, and this is what success looks like to us. So those are some of our big priorities for next year. So I think it's important to talk about pricing. We have a very, very accessible, fair, reasonable pricing model. We recently opened up Luna Playable to a much wider market. Historically, Luna Playable has only been available to larger game studios as an enterprise pricing model. In November this year, what we did is we introduced the starter and pro plans, as well as a 30-day free trial that anybody can sign up for. So if you haven't already, I definitely implore you to go to lunalabs.io, sign up for our free trial where you can try out the technology, you can download the plugin, you can even export a few playable builds. And then in your own time, you can move to one of our starter or pro plans. Super powerful, chock full of features, and you get full access to the Luna community, which is a great community of users who are all using Luna Playable, Luna Replay, and helping each other out. And I'd be remiss if I did not talk about the Powered by Luna Playable competition. We're super excited about this. This is an opportunity for anyone who signs up to Luna to win up to $10,000 in Facebook ad campaign, Facebook ad credits, as well as some really cool other prizes as well. And and it's really simple to enter. Like the bar is not very high here. Like what you need to do is download our tools, download our plugin, create a playable with Luna Playable, which hopefully is a very easy process. I think it is. I think we have great documentation to help you get started, and the wonderful Mike will be helping you out there as well. But all you've got to do is create that playable, upload it to Luna Playground, and then go to our community forum, which is available to all Luna customers, even free trials, and then post it there. We have a lot of details surrounding the competition on our website. So again, go to lunalabs.io, and there is a big purple bar at the top of the site, can't miss it, where we tell you all about our competition. So yeah, great opportunity to use one of our playables, get the most out of the platform, and actually see it in action, serving impressions, and get a sense for the real value that we can deliver with Playable and Playground. So yeah, definitely sign up for that. And that's all I had. So thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you learn a little bit today about Playground, and I really look forward to hearing from Karen and Mike as well. Thanks.
Niall?
Yep.
Niall, thank you for a great presentation.
My pleasure.
Yes. Dear attendees, if you have any questions for Niall, please type your question in the chat, and I read this question. And currently we have one question from Reo for Niall. Niall, could you answer? The question is about, can we use these playable creatives for our Facebook campaigns to validate a concept or CTR?
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, we have a lot of customers today who use Luna Playable for concept testing. So not only is it a good tool just for user acquisition, it's also a great tool for figuring out, you know, what game mechanic works, or what does a good game look like. And you can do that by creating hundreds of variations super easily using the tools that we give you. You can create hundreds of variations of your game in minutes almost, and then upload them to ad networks like Facebook and get a real sense for what performs better, you know, which of your assets is better received by the users or a certain group of users. It's definitely a very valid use case of the technology, and we've seen folks use it to great success. So yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for answering. Also, we have one more question from Decostair. Question is about how Playable is related to Unity dots.
Yeah, so at the moment we just support standard Unity, but you know, dots could certainly be in scope for next year. As I alluded to before, we keep our ear to the ground with any developments in Unity, in the world of game engines and HTML5 games. So you know, we'll certainly assess that when it sort of comes to it. I don't think there's a huge amount of information that we have around dots right now. I think what we have in the Unity engine that exists today is super powerful, and I think we're in a really good place just using that and leveraging the Unity engine, and we get a lot out of it. And you know, we see great performance, and we see things working really well in the browser. So unless we have a reason to sort of support dots in the future, I think we're good where we are for now. But it's definitely something that we're looking at. Yeah.
Great, thanks for your answering. If you have any questions, please type in YouTube chat, and we try for these questions later. It's time to go ahead and move to our practical part, because today we have a practical part with our expert from Innovecs. And Innovecs is rapidly growing in gaming, as you know. We work with Iron Source, Zynga, Gem City, and we are ready to share expertise with you. I'm glad to present the next speaker of our webinar. Please meet Mike Silanin, software engineer and Unity developer at Innovecs, who provide a live session and create playable right now on live. You can repeat step-by-step tutorials with Mike or iterate the same at home because we will add these outcomes and links below this video, and you can repeat these tutorials later. You can find all the required assets by the link before this video. Please see below the video. If no, you can repeat as I told later. Please, Mike, your turn.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I have been muted. I'm software engineer in Innovecs, focused on Unity development. And today we will speak about Luna Game Engine, Luna Playable, Luna Playground, and how we can create playable ads with Unity. I will show you how the Luna Game Engine actually works, what is the underhood, and how to create high quality, high performance playables using only Unity. Before we start, let's discuss a few organizational moments. We have a chat here, and all the links, additional materials, and so on you can find here. So let's start. What is Luna technology and how it works under the hood? First, and the most interesting thing that allows you to convert C# to JavaScript is BridgeNet technology. It's an open source C# compiler and framework. If you heard nothing about it before, I'll recommend you to visit BridgeNet site and even try some code using DeckNet. Now I can share with you my screen.
We have some problems with connection and demonstration. Currently, you can type your questions in our chat, and our speakers will answer for your questions and consult you later. I think we need a few moments, and after that, we continue our live coding session and demonstrate all opportunities via Luna Playable and share our Innovecs expertise with you. I read your questions, and now we have any question. I also recommend you to follow on Facebook our partners, Luna Labs, Iron Source, Supersonic, and Innovecs. In this social media, you can find many useful materials, annonces, promotions, and also you can find more materials and information about Luna Playable competition and more details about free trial for Luna Playable. If you follow our Facebook page Innovecs, you can read more information about our new webinars, sessions, and information by our partners. We will share more with you. Please follow us.
Sorry, guys. Can
yeah,
you
we
hear
continue.
me now?
Please, Mike, continue.
I'll have some issues with sharing my screen. Sorry. Really sorry for that. So we stopped on the DECnet. DECnet is an online tool where you can see like the BridgeNet technology works. So you can type any code on C# and get a JavaScript version very easily and right now. So you can try it, you can code everything. It's really very interesting. Yeah. Now, it's really very interesting, but it's not enough, you can say. What about Unity classes, Unity API, and so on? In fact, Luna has its own implementation of all the parts of Unity APIs and cover them almost completely. So each time when you compile your project in Luna, it goes through 4 stages: exporting assets, compiling and compressing assets, C# to JavaScript code compiling, and processing bundles to HTML package. Unfortunately, we have no time to describe it more. So let's move next. Let's have a little practice. For now, you'll need to have a Luna Playable plugin. For this purpose, please visit the download page at Luna Playground website. And if you already have the downloaded plugin, you'll need just to open Unity, create a new project. New sample project, we can call it Luna sample. Then, while Unity is starting, we can have a look at the changelog of Luna Playground. On the download page, you can find the link of changelog. So here you can see that Luna usually has new releases at least twice a month, and each version has lots of fixes, improvements, and also new features. Step by step, guys, trying to cover all the Unity APIs and even add some popular plugins as a part of internal API. For example, you can find that in version 1.0.0, they integrated a popular .twin plugin. So for now, you no more need to replace DLL by a source code. And it's really great. So we have our Unity project. And for now, you need to install a plugin. For this purpose, you can open Window Package Manager. Here, you need a plus button. And here you need to choose add a package from disk. So you need to navigate to the Luna plugin folder. Here you should choose scripts and package JSON. It can take a while. And note here in a package manager, you can remove all unnecessary packages from the project. So now we have installed Luna plugin, and now we can prepare our project for using Luna. First of all, you will need to go to the build settings and ensure that you have added your scene. What this means? In the most cases in real game projects, you need to create a special scene for your playable, and you should add that scene to the build settings. In our case, we have only one scene, so let's move next. Now you need player settings. In the player settings, you must ensure if you use Unity version less than 2019, you must ensure you are using scripting runtime version 4.0 or above. In my case, I don't need to do that. The second scene, we must ensure that we are using default rendering pipeline. Because for now, Luna doesn't support both lightweight rendering pipeline or universal rendering pipeline, so we can use only built-in pipeline. Now finally we can go to the Luna Playable settings. First time you open the plugin, you can see a window that will require your login. So enter the same as you used in Luna Playground website. After that, please navigate to the settings, basic, and ensure that we have our scene here, and we have this scene as a startup scene. Well, near we can see export type block. What this mean? You can see everything and selected items. First item, everything, means that all the assets in your project will be included to the build. The second one means that only items that you choose will be included to the build. For example, now when I choose selected items and scenes, it means that only the assets we are used in a current scene will be included to the build. Great. Now we must ensure we have a property path for our MS build. MS Build, Luna used for to compile the code packages in some build stages. But sometimes these paths are not proper. For Windows, this is usually the Microsoft Visual Studio folder. Microsoft Visual Studio, version, community, MS Build, current bin, MS Build exe. In Mac, it's always in Mono Framework folder. Awesome. For now, we can create something and test how Luna can compile our code. For that purpose, we can create something really simple. For example, let's create some 3D object, for example, cube. So we have a cube here. We can make it a bit closer. We can add some material on it. Material named cube. We can choose some shader, for example, mobile, vertex lead, and choose some default texture. Now we can add this material to our cube. And for now, we can add some script on it. Let's add some script named simple rotation. Let's open our code. Besides that, you mentioned that I used a mobile shader on our cube. Guess why? You can try to type in chat. What do you mean? What do you think about that? And now we have opened project. We can do two default function here, but we need only second update event function. And here we can add something very simple. It can be a serialized field, private, vector 3, named rotation. And here we can type some code. Transform, rotate, our rotation and time, delta time. So now we can go to Unity. Put some values in our script. For example, something like that. And now start project. As you can see, everything worked fine. So for now, we can try to compile it in Luna. Please navigate to develop section. Here you can see that you can build project and start a server. For now, we need to build project. It can take a while, and usually in some really big projects with a big number of assets, it can take a while. But in our case, it builds rather quickly. So now we should start our server and have a look on the JavaScript build. You can see here, then we have in our browser our C# Unity project that goes on Canvas tag, and scripts that you can see here in sources panel. For example, you can find that our class simple rotation goes here, and you can have a look on our update function, rotation variable, and find everything here. You can find here Unity engine class, its implementation of Unity APIs by Luna. So great. Now we can do something much interesting. So I hope you all get the assets that we send you by mail and that you can find near the YouTube video. This is the assets I specially prepare for this webinar. So please open it. You will need to unpack these assets. And now you can create a new project or just replace assets folder in current project with the contents of this folder. For example, we can just replace all assets in our current project. Now go to Unity. While the assets are being imported, a few words about the project. Mainly, it's based on the sample assets by Unity from the Unity Asset Store, but simplified a bit and prepared for created playables. Great. Now we have all the assets imported in our project. Then you need to go to the scenes folder and open the main scene. Now let's start the project and look at the gameplay. As you can see, it's a simple first-person runner that have a rather fine gameplay, good assets, 3D characters, and a huge number of meshes, textures, materials, and so on. You can have a look on these folders, models folder. You can see that we have a lot of meshes here, a lot of materials here, a lot of animations for our characters. Please have a look at the config file that is located in the root of the assets folder. It's just a simple scriptable object where you can find all the settings and configurable values. For example, you can change a character from cat to a raccoon and start a project and see that gameplay is changed. So it's a simple scriptable object. The only difference make it special that it contains Luna Playground field attributes on its variables. Let's have a look on them. Let's open our code. You can find a config folder in our scripts. And here you can find config preset. So as you can see, each variable here have a Luna Playground field attribute. That means that in the similar way, like we see it in Unity editor, we can change everything directly at Luna Playground site and create as many variables of our playable as we want. For example, we can change play duration of our game. We can change setting use sound or don't use sound, how coins you need to win, and so on. And also you can create any number of configurable variables, getting as many variations of a playable as you want. And I think it's beautiful. Okay, let's take a look at the assets folder. We can see that we have a lot of assets, really lots of assets, but Luna can easily handle it. Now we can see that everything is looking rather easy. But the main thing you must be focused on is playable limitations and optimizations for web, especially for some ad networks. As you know, most of them limits the size of a playable up to 3 megabyte or 5 megabyte. So what can we do to make our playables really small? Actually, Luna developers spends a lot of effort to make the final build optimized and adapted for the web as much as possible. They provide web-friendly formats, special repacking techniques to cut down the download size, speed up startup time, and so on. But really, this is not enough if you not prepared your assets properly. So what we can do? Actually, a lot of useful tips you can find in Luna Playground documentation. I'll share with you a link. Besides that, you can find a very useful video about optimizations created by Luna Labs. You can find it in Luna Labs YouTube channel. Please subscribe it too. It's very interesting. Now I share you the links. Mm-hmm.
Michael, I think we can add this link later.
Yeah, sure.
Let's continue.
But now I can share some optimization tips, especially for me. The first tip, only the combination of standard optimization techniques that we use for regular Unity projects and our games, and the combination of special tips from Luna, and the settings that we can provide through Luna Playground UI in our plugin can lead to good performance and satisfactory size for our playables. So the next tip, you should always optimize your meshes if you're working with 3D projects. Optimize both meshes and 3D characters animations. For example, here we can find a lot of level meshes. You can select them all. And you should ensure that you use mesh compression, and especially I usually use high mesh compression. It's okay for all the type of the playables. Then we must ensure that we use some useful settings in our Luna plugin. You can find in settings tab in advanced that we need to enable compressor sources. Then we need to ensure what settings we use for each of our assets, for meshes, animations, fonts, and so on. Every time you work with Playable, you'll need to optimize almost the whole assets. You must optimize everything. For example, in the most cases, we don't need to use all the characters for our fonts. So we can easily replace it only with the chairs we are currently used in our scene. For example, here I used only these characters, and we can easily replace here. Or even use textures instead of fonts if you have only, for example, one or two words in our game. For example, win and lose, or some button text. We can just use textures to optimize our build size. Then we can optimize sounds. We can use mono for our playables with a low bitrate. We can optimize the texture size. For example, even in this project, we can use even some size like that. We do not need a big texture size here. So every time when you work with playables, you must optimize as much as possible. Sometimes you even need to seek help of 3D artists to optimize number of triangles for some meshes that are really heavy for web. But in most cases, you'll just make several simple things. For example, you can use high mesh compression. You should use high mesh compression for your characters too. And using Luna tools, you can optimize all the stuff in your project. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to consider all the optimization methods, but you should understand that only combination of usual Unity optimizations and settings provided by Luna UI, you can get the excellent performance and build size results. As in the assets section, you can find all of them. And please visit Luna documentation for better understanding. So if you keep all the assets properly, and you can get really great optimized playable in terms of both performance and size. So I think for now that's all. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. I hope you enjoyed my video. Maybe later in future we create some more webinars by Luna and share with you more tips. But for today, that's all. Thank you.
Mike, great thanks for this practical session. It was very useful. Luna Playable is a super powerful tool, as we know. And we continue our webinar. And if you have any questions, please type your question in our YouTube chat. Yeah, we see your reactions. Yeah, great presentation, Mike. Okay. I hope you are well, and we continue our webinar. As I mentioned, you will see this recording later in our post-training feedback letter. You can find a link for this video and other useful additional materials. And it's a great pleasure to collaborate with World Now company and World Now leaders. And Supersonic Studios is a mobile game studio, publisher, and studio with headquartered in Tel Aviv. And Supersonic is a part of Iron Source company. And it's a great pleasure for me and Innovecs to introduce Karen Levy, Director of Creative at Supersonic Studios. And Karen will share tips and tricks for making killer game creatives with Luna Playable. And I think it will be a great case study from Karen. And please meet Karen.
Thank you, Igor. It's a pleasure. I'm happy to be here. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, all's good.
Okay. So it's fine. You see my screen? Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm really excited being here today, showing you a little bit about our creative activity in Supersonic, talking a little bit about Iron Source and how we're using Luna really to make killer creatives at Supersonic. A little bit about myself. So my name is Karen Levy. I am the director of creatives at Supersonic. Been working in Iron Source for almost 7 years in different business in the mobile business positions in the mobile, from user acquisition, monetization, performance, until I've shifted to the creative zone, which I'm in love with. And right now leading the creative team in Supersonic. Okay, so what I'm going to introduce today, a little bit just the agenda. First of all, Queen Gambit is going to lead us along the way, as I think she's a queen in a lot of different things, and also a lot of thinking behind creatives and products that we're using. So we'll introduce Supersonic and Iron Source, talk a little bit about the creative team, user acquisition, which is just a part that we cannot ignore when working on creatives in the mobile industry and gaming. Playable production, how Luna is really blending into our in-house production and teams, and then talk about success stories that we have with the Luna platform that we're using to build the playables. We will focus on playables only at this part, but of course, as you heard, there's also the Luna Replay, which is for video building that we're also using, but that would be for another session probably. So Supersonic is owned by Iron Source, and just a little bit about Iron Source, that was established in 2010. I think we're already a bit above 900 employees, and half of it is R&D employees, very focused on tech, on developing products, really to have those tools that will help us achieve our eventually business goals. You can see the spread globally around the world, and where we have these cute crowns is where Supersonic is also existing and working in those offices. We are mostly like the HQ is based in Tel Aviv. We do have a very big office in Kiev, part of in the Innovecs, and Minsk for Supersonic. In the last 2 years, Iron Source has been shown as being the top network in what comes to quality and volume in all the area of gaming. This report is being published by AppsFlyer, okay, one of the biggest companies for tracking. And in the last 2 years, we were really the independent network, basically in the first place after Google and Facebook, which is a great achievement and really something that helped us to achieve the place we're today, and also build Supersonic in really quick and fast pace. And Supersonic has been established at only this January, which is amazing. Soon you'll see the amount of games that we have published that reach the top charts. As I mentioned, HQ in Tel Aviv. It's an independent company, but is owned by Iron Source, and mainly providing a third-party publishing solutions, and also in-house team for building games. So really, since January, we had around 20 games that we published, and 16 of them were in the top charts, which is a really big achievement, and are continuing to drive installs and working very hard on that. And this is really what pushed us a lot to achieve the place we're today, reaching in the top 5 publishing companies in the hyper-casual industry. A little bit about the creative team. So you can see there's here a combination in those nice days where we could all visit offices. So we had like a really big visit from the guys in Kiev in our HQ here, and have a combination of different, we call it squads, as you see, because this is our methodology of working in our creative team, is we believe that we need to work in squads, combining different professionals in the same group in order to achieve better results at the end with our creatives, including data analysis, motion designers, engineers, game designers. You can see a really wide range of different professionals in the team to really achieve eventually an end goal of the best creatives for the best games. And a little bit about the user acquisition. As I said, creatives are part of the user acquisition. We cannot ignore them. We cannot leave that aside and just make creatives, as we need to understand that we have a performance goal of really providing creatives that will perform, that will increase the performance and help the game to be a successful game. And one of the things that in user acquisition we will want to achieve is really a competitive eCPM, which is a cost per mil. And eCPM is actually your buying power in user acquisition. With the eCPM, you can achieve better results by making your game more marketable, and by that really achieve better results, better scale, more installs. The eCPM is combined with IPM and bid. We're not going to drill down into that too much, but you can see that as long as we will focus on that, we have different zones of marketability in different ranges of eCPM. And if you look at the lower range of the eCPM, if we will be here and will not be able to achieve a high IPM, the game will not be marketability, and we will not be able to scale. While if we will increase it, we will be in a zone where we will be able to scale. And if we reach the fun zone, then here we are able to even increase our profit as a game developer for the game and really achieve amazing results with it. So to achieve that IPM, we need always to challenge our current creatives, okay? And always look to how are we scaling the IPM? How are we improving what we have right now? As this is like a very generic graph that shows the situation, I think, across all creatives, across all games. Once you have a creative that has been launched and improved the performance, and you see really the scaling up the volumes and really achieving good performance, at some point that creative will start fading and performance will start dropping. And that is the point where we need to create a new iteration, a new creative, something that will really help us to drive more installs, to keep the marketability of the game, to keep it really on high volumes as much as we can. So it's new creatives, but also localizations, which are a very important part and can really boost the performance of a game and the creatives a lot, especially in China and Germany. And in general, new creatives will minimize the drop of the IPM by 16% approximately. So it is something that we're looking to always keep in our mind in our production planning for each game. And we're doing that, and this is really focusing mainly on Supersonic, hyper casual, the creative team. We're doing all of that that I've mentioned up until now with using two different creative types. Mainly, these are the main creative types that I think in hyper casual are the most important ones. So first of all, of course, the playables that we're talking about today, short interaction and like a kind of a mini game to provide the user some understanding of what is he going to install to his device. The playable are being used mostly on the SDK networks and less on the social networks, and video, which is the biggest part of production, because the social networks are mainly working with the videos. This is the most of the time the best performing type of creative on the social in general. And to test a game at the beginning, you will do it with videos. So these are the two main focuses that we are doing. And in general, we are trying to really treat the creatives like you treat your game. Okay, it's super important because, as I said, it's just it cannot go alone. You cannot just create a game but neglect the part of the creatives while opening campaigns and trying to promote and gain new users into your game without thinking about the creatives. So if in a general process of creative, we have the impression and then the click to the store and an install, with the playable, we have a different experience, okay? We have a full experience between the impression and until the user will reach to the store, we have a whole world of different things that we can measure inside a playable. Also through Luna, we can also see some of those metrics and really analyze those metrics to understand if my creative is working, if something is not going as I expected, or if I see a drop inside the funnel of the creative, if I see a lot of users dropping the playable in the middle, I will try to understand what is happening and how can I improve it. But also using and analyzing those metrics helps us, first of all, create a lot of different variants based on what we want to test and understand really what works, what should we focus going forward, how should we change the different variants that we will export now from the Luna or other playables, really to understand how to improve and put creatives that are attracting and engaging enough the users. And the most effective in-ad metrics in hyper-casual, just summed it to like main three ones, is first of all, the engagement, okay? We are looking for an engagement rate of users. In hyper-casual, it would usually, the benchmark is around 80% of engagement rate of users that have seen the ad and engaged. Experience in hyper-casual, we will talk a lot about losing versus winning. Okay, we know that in hyper-casual, we want to usually provide variants that are a bit more harder. Losing something that will challenge the user, this usually will provide us better results than providing a simple gameplay, a simple level that ends in a few seconds. And the time, okay? We don't have a lot of time to keep the user in the ad. So there are two different types of time that we are measuring. One is the time to engage, okay? We want to see where is our really sweet point of time to engage of users that has the highest probability to install. And in hyper-casual, we're seeing that it's a very short time. You have around 2 to 3 seconds to really have the user engaged. After the third second, you will see a major drop in install, and probably those users, the chances of them to install will just get lower and lower. And the time to complete. Okay, we want users in hyper-casual to complete the ad between 9 to 12 seconds, which is very, very short. And if we see that our funnel is too long and really reaches sometimes the 30 seconds, we will want to shorten it if we're talking about the hyper-casual games. Because as long as the gameplay will continue after the 12 second, we will just see a major drop in installs and the probability to install will just drop more and more, and your performance will drop. And just to analyze, like when we're taking a playable and want to analyze its performance, we're putting it in some kind of this funnel analysis and trying to look between the variants, where do we have the drops, where do we have performance that is better, and we need to focus on that. For example, here in this chart, to look that 91% of the users that lost the game probably continued and installed eventually. Not going to drill down too much into this, but this is like how the funnel looks like when we put it into charts and really analyze it. And our goal all the time is to find the sweet spot, as I said. So to find the sweet spot, we have the benchmarks of the hyper casual. We know that these are the benchmarks, but we will always look independently on each playable, on each game, to understand really what is the sweet point at that specific game compared to the other creatives, and always try to improve and reach to that sweet point. Okay. A little bit about now the playable production itself, as I mentioned. So in Supersonic, in the creative team, we are working in two different ways. Today, we're here to focus really on our success stories using Luna. But there's also, I would like to emphasize the differences between using Luna with our in-house team and compared to our also in-house team that builds playable HTML playables from scratch, okay, not using any platform. But in Luna, as a creative team, we are holding Unity developer and a game designer for creating those playables, while in the in-house team, you can see that we need JavaScript developers, a game designer, and a graphic designer. Because we need to recreate those assets when we work internally in our in-house team. With Luna, we can externalize the production, while in the in-house team, we cannot, okay? With Luna, we can provide the game developer we're working with a login, and he can use Luna platform and create playables by himself for running the campaigns that we will open in Supersonic. But we cannot ask a game developer to build HTML playable from scratch and send it to us so we can run it. And in Luna, as you know, and as you saw in the session with Misha, you don't need any assets. You have the access to all the assets from the Unity project, while in the in-house, we do require assets, okay? And we need to sometimes recreate them, which adds just time to the production, but it's something that is possible, but just adds some time. So go to the success stories that we had recently with Luna and the playables. And the first one I would like to talk about, we'll talk about two different games. The first one would be Invincible Hero. Invincible Hero is not a typical hyper-casual game. It's a really great game to use also Luna, and you'll see it in the last slide. We'll compare the two games, where you have a more complex art, complex gameplay, complex mechanism. Luna was the best solution we had to use for this game to export an amazing, amazing playable that really made this game successful eventually. You can see here a graph from App Annie of installs for the game. It was running on quite a low scale. And once we basically created the Luna Playable and it went live on the campaigns, you can see here a crazy spike here. This is the first playable that we created with Luna for the game. We created a few more here. You can see like smaller spikes here. But this was also a very successful one. The fourth playable we did in Luna for this game, and I will soon talk about it, was really having also a high spike here. that maintained for a few weeks here, which is also a successful thing to see, because sometimes you see a spike and a drop very quickly because of different things that can affect it, especially data science of different platforms and media sources. But here you can see that it was really a successful one. And with Invincible Hero, what's interesting really is the ability that we had through Luna to change and create different variables in a super simple and easy way, is really what helped us to have the success here and find really find the best performing creative. Okay, so you can see here different themes. It's not that laggy, by the way. It's just I tried to create a very simple view here. It's very smooth as a playable. I just want you to see that the left on the top is the first playable that we created that really performed for a while, had the best performance. It's showing exactly what you have in the game. This is like the main character that you start with to play the game. It's kind of a short playable, okay, and drive IPM of like 17.5. The second one on the right top is actually, it looks quite similar. It's a little bit longer. So you can see what happened to the IPM. It dropped a little bit, but it still performed well. Okay, it drove a nice amount of installs. And then at the fourth playable, where you saw this spike that we spoke about here, the fourth playable here, we created this last version, and you can see that the character has been switched to a woman. This woman doesn't exist in the game, and we were cooperating with the game developer to really add it and have it in the Unity project. And with really a simple 2 days of production, we were able to export this variation and version of playable with the woman character. And you can see that eventually it was driving the highest IPM, which this is the most important thing we're looking for when we are changing and trying new creatives, to challenge and to increase our IPM all the time. I think that this is a really great example. On the way, we had a lot of different variables that we tested, and this is really what the biggest benefit in the Luna platform is, the ability to switch themes, switch anything that you want inside the Unity, and exporting it to a playable is really easy. It helps us shortening the time of the production and widening the variety of creatives that we're testing. So you can see different themes that we have changed here and tested. They didn't perform that well, but anyway, you have to test it to see and challenge your creatives all the time. So this is really a lot of things. We are usually doing those things with Luna, because it's super easy and helpful in terms of production time. And just a little bit of numbers of how successful this was. So you can see that the red columns here are the Luna Playable that went live. Once it went live, it actually just it boosted the game and made the game a successful game. Up until that point, we didn't really scale that much with the game. But once the Luna Playable went live, then you can see a really big boost here. It kind of aligns with the graph that you've seen with App Annie, which makes sense. But still, it's really nice to see what's the portion of all those installs for a specific playable. And here, Luna Playable really made this game very successful. And here, going back, the gray part is really the IPM. So you can see the IPM scaling, okay, from what we had from the beginning, which this is a very important part. And here, what's interesting, it's the same graph. It's just showing you the drop in CPI which this is also the combination that we're looking for. Dropping the CPI will allow us to increase the profit and achieve better scale if the IPM is increasing. So this is really what happened here and was really great and helped the game. And eventually you can see that this is the Luna Playable share of voice. So what was the share of it from all the installs was above 60% in the hype when we were like really in the beginning of publishing this game, and maintained it on the around the 50-60%, which is a really amazing amount of share for a single playable. And it just makes it very successful as a creative. Last one, very short one, is going to be the case study about Emoji Puzzle, another game that more simple game that we used Luna to build the playables. You can see that this was really a top chart game. It reached #1 on Android, iOS. Was a really successful, really high volumes, talking about millions and millions of downloads. And here the same graphs as you saw. So Luna Playable is the blue columns right here. And you can see that it is significant in the share that we're seeing. It is affecting the IPM, which starts to increase from the moment that the playable went live. And you can see here the CPI that is dropping once the playable goes live. So we're achieving here the performance goals that we are trying to achieve while creating new creatives. And this playable also has been showing above 60% of the share of voice as a creative. So this is really a really big achievement, and making it a very successful playable for this game. And just a little bit about like comparing between them in terms of production, because we've seen here two very different games. Invincible Hero and Emoji Puzzle are a very different game, and I think that it's also interesting to see that the platform and Luna are able to really create success stories in any game that you build and that you're using Luna to build the creatives for. And there are things that that will help you more and at some parts and at others. But just to summarize, like the production that we had in Luna and creating those playables. So Emoji, the numbers, we did 5 versions of a playable with a total of 30 variables, which is around like 6 per playable. Okay, and the average production days per playable was 4 days, which is really a short amount of time. We also had some versions that required 2 days of development only. And this is really because we're talking about a very simple game. The mechanism is not very hard. The art and assets there are not complex in terms of like animations and stuff like that. Comparing to Invincible Hero, which is a bit more heavy in a different game than Emoji Puzzle, here we did 4 versions of a playable with a total of 20 variables. And you can see here that the production days is around 6 days. Okay, we had some versions that we needed 8 and 9 days to work on them, and some that we had less. So as long as the developer is working on the Unity project and already knowing it, so of course the production will decrease, but still it required more time to work on it as it has more complex art and mechanism. But both of them brought eventually success stories for both of the games. Really were a key creative for those games to make them successful, to reach to the top charts, to really be something that is valuable for Supersonic and for the game developers itself that has built them. Thank you. I hope everyone are still with me. And if you have any questions, then feel free.
Yeah, great, thanks. This was amazing, Karen. I see we have no questions, and I want to remind our attendees, your questions are highly welcome in our chat and your requests. We are waiting right now. I think our attendees will use your approach and your analytics and also create unique games. And I hope they go to the top on Apple Store and Google Play.
I hope so.
Same as emoji game. Okay, we have nice reactions in our chat. Nice job. And we are waiting for a few seconds. Okay, great. Thanks, Karen. Great. Thanks all our speakers and experts for today's time. Our webinar is coming to the end, but I don't say you game over. I say you win this game because today you have got unique knowledge and unique skills. I want to remind you that you can repeat the step-by-step tutorial by Mike and form your skill in game development and in using Luna Playable plugin. And also we will send you additional materials in tomorrow with useful information from Supersonic Studio and Luna Labs. And see you next time. I hope our webinar was useful for you, and we are going to continue our sessions with our partners and clients. See you next time. You can. Oh, Karen, we have one more question from Decaster. Is it possible to see the playground dashboard, the dashboard to change variables? Could you answer for this question?
Yeah. So
I can repeat. Do you understand this question, or I can repeat this?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Definitely in Luna Playground dashboard, you can see all the different variables that you have built and their metrics. You can also see the engagement rate and really the time to complete. And there you can see it. I think just we don't have time to show it right now. Right? Or Neil, if you have something in Niall.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is anyone can sign up for a free trial. And if you sign up for a free trial, we have a sample game in Playground with variables that you can edit. So you don't need to use the plugin to get started using Playground. So yeah, I'd go ahead to lunalabs.io and just click that trial button, and you can see it for yourself.
Yeah, the dashboard is very intuitive. It's really easy. So I really recommend going there and seeing it, and all the data is shown there.
Great, thanks for your explanation. I see we have no questions. And great thanks to you guys for your expertise today and for sharing the knowledge and your experience. I want to remind that we will send you the post-training email with additional materials, and we will be grateful for your feedback tomorrow or later. And thank you for your time and for participation in our webinar, and great thanks for all our speakers, Niall, Karen, Mike, great thanks. And please follow Innovecs on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and also please follow Luna Labs and Supersonic. Thank you for your attention, and see you later. Goodbye, see you.